name is Schauer, and I am the principal at Ventura Park Elementary School.
What are you most excited about this year?
I am excited about continuing to make meaningful connections with each of our students and their families that are truly meaningful. I actually think that that's one positive thing that came out of COVID was us really making every effort to connect with each student and each family. And I really want us to continue that and capitalize on it, if you will, making a positive come out of a negative. It made such a difference with how comfortable we feel going to our families and our families coming to us. And I just want to continue that throughout the school year, and I think we're off to a good start.
How do you encompass equity as a leader?
That is a really big question. And I think that as a leader, it starts with modeling, just like good teaching. And my staff knows that equity is very important to me. And I think that is really where to start in terms of getting people on board with equity efforts. I would love to brag on my equity team. I love that every building has an equity team this year, and we are really doing some meaningful work with staff self-examination. That's where our primary focus is right now, and eventually want to move that very purposefully to students. And so we are having hard conversations about things like microaggressions and privilege and implicit bias and things that some people would just find it easier to avoid. We're talking about those. We want to use the word racism, racist, racially, and be comfortable with that language and talking about it and learning from it and connecting with our community about it.
How do you include the David Douglas School District equity lens when making building-wide decisions?
First, let me say that I am really excited to have this official equity lens and also the district equity plan. It's really giving credence to building equity efforts, having it supported system-wide. And I have the equity lens posted in my office. It's posted in every classroom, and we want to make every decision through this lens. When you are deciding if something is a positive decision for a certain program or a certain group of people, you always need to ask yourself, who is our most underrepresented population and how is it affecting them? If this is positive for one group, let's still examine how it might be negative for another and really be intentional about our long-term efforts.
What does a racially affirming school environment look like?
A racially affirming school environment is one in which every single student feels seen, they feel celebrated, they feel heard, they feel like they belong and have a place. They come to school and they have friends that they connect with, they have adults that they connect with, they feel free communicating about things that happen at school when they go home. We have positive relationships between families, two-way communication, and we're not afraid to have difficult conversations about things such as equity, race, differences, disparities. That's a racially affirming environment.
What is your equity stance?
That's another big question. Again, we want those students to feel, every single student to feel like they have a place at school, in society as well as in education. And I think schools are just microcosms of society at large. And my equity stance is that I hope that we live in a world one day where we don't need things such as equity stances. I don't know that we'll see that in my lifetime, but there's a self-assessment tool at the end of our equity plan template that's been provided by the district. And I love the language it uses on that. I wrote it down. So there's 6 different levels that a team can assess themselves on or they're building on in terms of equity. And where I think Ventura Park is right now is we're at level 4, identity change. We're an affirming institution, we're growing, we're understanding, we're talking about racism. But where I'd like to be and where I'd like all schools to be in society is a fully inclusive, anti-racist, multicultural organization in a transformed society. I love that language, and my stance is that we should be doing everything that we can to get there. At Ventura Park, we have engaged in a lot of group adult learning. We have all read Zaretta Hammond's Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain, and we talk about that in a lot of our professional learning. Last year, a smaller group of us read Rhonda V. McGee's The Inner Work of Racial Justice, which brings mindfulness into social justice work. We have done one-on-one work with Michael Essien and Just Our Building this year, and he's a cultural leader in terms of helping people include restorative practices into schools, and he's been working with us directly. And so we have several pots that we have spoons in right now, but we want them all to come together towards our school improvement goal of connecting all families and eliminating our racial disparities. And that's all part of going towards that society, I think.
How will you use data to ensure equitable outcomes for students?
That is such an important question. Most decisions, if at all possible, need to be based in data. And for a long time through PBIS, we have disaggregated our discipline data to make sure that we're aware of our disparities and addressing those. And as most of us know, a lot of those disparities are along racial lines, unfortunately, and it's really important to know where those lines are for your group of students. We have also just started at Ventura Park disaggregating our academic data according to race. We were unfortunately a targeted school for lack of growth with our African American students, and we are really being intentional about looking at that data. In fact, in a recent professional learning team meeting, our teachers looked at all of their own student data for reading and broke it down according to racial group. And making really intentional steps like that, I think, is the best way to make a change, and looking at data is a really important part of that.
What equity practices do you hope to see in every classroom?
Years ago, all principals read an article put out by Education Northwest that was about culturally responsive teaching strategies. And every year we adopt a few of those strategies as building principles for our whole staff to focus on. And the ones our equity team chose this year are Strategy 25, which is explaining and modeling positive self-talk, and also Strategy 10, using class building and team building to promote peer support for academic achievement. And the reason we chose to focus on those are the ones I want to see in every classroom. The reason we're focusing on those is, again, that meaningful connection. Do kids feel comfortable learning from each other, talking to each other about their work? Is it a team environment? Are the classrooms a safe place? Do they see adults modeling that positive self-talk? Oh, I made a mistake, but remember growth mindset, that's part of learning, that kind of thing. So those are what we want to see in every classroom at Ventura Park.
As you self-reflect on your spring and summer hiring practices, share your efforts and outcomes to diversify your school building for both classified and certified positions.
This is an area that I think about a lot, because as someone in a hiring position, I definitely want to know who's out there who is part of the BIPOC population who wants to be a teacher. What's unfortunate in my case is that oftentimes the pool is really narrow in that regard. So that's why I'm so excited about the district's Grow Your Own program. I think that's where it's at. Start in high school, start even earlier, making teaching exciting, making people know how rewarding it is for that BIPOC population and others in our district who really know the community. And I think that is where we're going to get our bang for our buck. I'm so excited about the beginning efforts in that. Students need to see people as teachers who look like they do. It's really important for all the reasons that we've talked about today. And the Grow Your Own program, again, I think is one of the best ways to achieve that. I really wish we could communicate to kids how teaching is really a way that you can make a difference in the world, in individual lives, for students, for families. We're out there, we're doing it. You know, for people who really want to make a difference, this is a way to do it. And I'm hoping that the Grow Your Own program can get some of those people in the pool and we can get them working for us. My name is Schauer. I'm the principal at Ventura Park, and I believe in equity.